I am Stephanie, 28 years old, and the founder of Aurora Tech Ventures. 3 months ago, I sat across from my parents in their mahogany paneled office as they begged me to reconsider my decision. The irony wasn't lost on me. The same people who had forced me to abandon my dreams 6 years earlier were now desperately pleading for my help to save theirs.
I'd love to know which corner of the globe you're watching from. And if this story speaks to you, make sure to subscribe. Tomorrow's video is one you absolutely can't miss. Please, Stephanie, my mother whispered, her usually perfect composure cracking. You can't do this to us, to the family legacy. My father, normally commanding and authoritative, looked smaller somehow as he leaned forward. $20 million, Stephanie. That's what we're talking about. You hold the power to destroy everything we've built. I looked at both of them, remembering the 22-year-old girl who had stood in this same office, tears streaming down her face as they delivered their ultimatum. Back then, I had no choice. But now I hold all the cards. Growing up as the daughter of Marcus and Diana Richardson meant living under a microscope of expectations in our sprawling estate in Westchester County, New York. Richardson Industries had been the family crown jewel for 3 generations, starting as a small manufacturing company and evolving into a diversified empire spanning real estate development, logistics, and emerging technology investments. My father, Marcus Richardson, embodied everything about old money American business culture: Harvard MBA, perfectly pressed suits, and an unwavering belief that success came through calculated risks and absolute control. He had transformed Richardson Industries from a regional player into a nationally recognized corporation worth over $200 million. Every decision, every relationship, every opportunity was evaluated through the lens of how it would benefit the Richardson name and fortune. My mother, Diana, complemented his business acumen with social sophistication. She navigated charity galas, country club politics, and high society networking with the precision of a chess grandmaster. Diana Richardson's approval could open doors throughout New York's elite circles, while her disapproval could effectively end careers and social standing. Together, they formed an unstoppable partnership that had built not just wealth, but influence that reached into politics, academia, and industry leadership. My older brother, Cameron, had always been the obvious heir apparent. 2 years my senior, he possessed the natural charisma and ruthless business instincts that my parents valued above all else. Cameron earned his MBA from Wharton, spent 2 years at Goldman Sachs, and seamlessly transitioned into Richardson Industries as Vice President of Strategic Development. He understood the family business intuitively, thrived in high-pressure negotiations, and shared our father's vision of continued expansion and dominance. I, however, represented something entirely different. From an early age, I gravitated toward technology and innovation rather than traditional business operations. While Cameron studied market reports and financial statements, I spent hours coding, building websites, and exploring the potential of emerging digital platforms. My bedroom was filled with computer equipment, programming manuals, and prototypes of apps I had developed during high school. My parents tolerated what they considered a phase, assuming I would eventually mature into understanding the importance of the family business. They enrolled me in prestigious preparatory schools, arranged internships at respected financial firms, and surrounded me with the children of other wealthy families who shared similar traditional career paths. But my passion for technology only intensified during my freshman year at Stanford University, where I was pursuing a double major in computer science and business administration. Stanford's entrepreneurial environment opened my eyes to possibilities I had never imagined. I watched classmates launch startups from dorm rooms, witnessed venture capitalists funding revolutionary ideas, and experienced the electric energy of Silicon Valley innovation. During my sophomore year, I developed a revolutionary app concept focused on streamlining supply chain logistics through artificial intelligence and machine learning. The idea came from observing inefficiencies in my father's own logistics operations during a summer internship. Traditional supply chain management relied on outdated systems and manual processes that created bottlenecks, increased costs, and limited scalability. My app, which I called Logiflow, could analyze real-time data from multiple sources: weather patterns, traffic conditions, supplier inventories, customer demand fluctuations, and automatically optimize routing, scheduling, and resource allocation. The potential applications were enormous, extending far beyond Richardson Industries to revolutionize how goods move through global supply networks. I spent countless hours refining the algorithm, building prototypes, and testing the system using publicly available data. My computer science professors were impressed by the sophistication of the machine learning models, while business faculty recognized the commercial potential. Several recommended that I consider entering Stanford's prestigious entrepreneurship competition, which offered funding and mentorship opportunities for the most promising student ventures. The validation from respected academics gave me confidence to approach my parents during Christmas break of my sophomore year. I had prepared a comprehensive presentation, complete with technical demonstrations, market analysis, and financial projections. The app could potentially generate hundreds of millions of revenue while simultaneously reducing operational costs for businesses across multiple industries. I arranged a formal meeting in my father's home office, the same room where all major family business decisions were made. The walls were lined with awards, photographs of my father with political leaders and industry titans, and framed articles about Richardson Industries' various achievements. I set up my laptop and carefully walked them through every aspect of Logiflow. My father listened with polite attention, occasionally asking technical questions that I answered confidently. My mother took notes, though I could sense her skepticism about technology ventures in general. Cameron, who had joined the meeting, seemed more interested in his phone. When I finished, the room fell silent for several long moments. Finally, my father spoke. "This is impressive work, Stephanie. You've clearly put considerable effort into developing this concept. However, I think you're losing sight of the bigger picture." He stood and walked to the window overlooking our estate's manicured grounds. Richardson Industries represents 3 generations of careful building, strategic growth, and established relationships. We have contracts worth tens of millions of dollars, partnerships that took decades to develop, and a reputation for reliability that cannot be purchased with any amount of venture capital. My mother joined the conversation. "Darling, these technology startups are essentially gambling. For every success story you hear about, there are thousands of failures that never make headlines. You're proposing to abandon a guaranteed future for a fantasy." Cameron finally looked up from his phone. "Besides, even if your app worked perfectly, you'd be competing against established software companies with massive resources and existing client relationships. Google, Microsoft, IBM, they all have logistics optimization products. What makes you think a college student can outcompete billion-dollar corporations?" I tried to explain that Logiflow's artificial intelligence capabilities were more advanced than existing solutions, that my algorithm could adapt and learn in ways that current systems couldn't match. I emphasized the growing market demand for smart logistics solutions and the potential for licensing the technology to major corporations rather than competing directly. But I could see that my arguments were falling on deaf ears. My family had already made their decision before I even began the presentation. My father returned to his desk and leaned forward, his expression shifting into the authoritative mode I recognized from childhood. "Stephanie, you will abandon this project immediately. You will transfer back to Columbia University, where you'll pursue a traditional business degree with focus on finance and operations management. After graduation, you'll join Richardson Industries in a management training program designed to prepare you for significant leadership responsibilities." The finality in his voice left no room for negotiation. This wasn't a discussion or a suggestion, it was a command from the head of the Richardson family.
"But Dad, you don't understand the potential here," I protested. "This could revolutionize not just our business, but entire industries. The technology sector is the future of economic growth." "The technology sector is a bubble built on speculation and unrealistic valuations," he replied dismissively. "Real wealth comes from tangible assets, established market positions, and proven business models. Richardson Industries owns properties, operates facilities, employs hundreds of people, and generates consistent profits year after year. That's real value, not some algorithm that exists only in computer code. My mother's voice carried the tone she used when delivering social ultimatums. If you pursue this technology venture, you will do so without any financial support from this family. Your trust fund will be frozen, your college tuition payments will cease, and you will be financially independent from this moment forward. The threat was devastating and calculated. My trust fund, established by my grandparents, contained several $1 million that would become accessible when I turned 25. The college tuition at Stanford cost nearly $70,000 annually, an amount I could never afford through part-time work or student loans given my family's income level. Cameron spoke with the cold analysis that would later make him successful in business. You're also forgetting that pursuing this startup would mean competing directly against Richardson Industries' logistics operations. We could view any attempt to commercialize supply chain optimization technology as corporate espionage or theft of proprietary information gained through your internships. A lot of love and effort went into bringing this story to life. If you're enjoying it, we'd be so grateful if you'd subscribe to our channel. Now, back to where we left off. The legal implications hadn't occurred to me, but I realized they were probably correct. My app development had been informed by my observations of Richardson Industries operations, and any legal challenge could destroy the venture before it even launched. I sat in stunned silence, watching my dreams crumble under the weight of family pressure and financial reality. 6 months of passionate work, countless late nights coding and testing, and genuine innovation that could have changed industries, all dismissed as youthful foolishness. My father softened his voice slightly, perhaps recognizing the devastation on my face. "Stephanie, I know this feels harsh right now, but you'll understand someday that we're protecting you from making a catastrophic mistake. The business world is brutal, especially for young women trying to prove themselves in technology. You have guaranteed success waiting for you at Richardson Industries, where your family name and our established reputation will ensure your prosperity." "Take the weekend to think it over," my mother added, "but understand that this decision cannot be delayed indefinitely. We need your commitment to the family plan, or we need to make alternative arrangements for your future." I left that meeting feeling completely powerless, trapped between impossible choices. Abandon my passion and potential revolutionary technology to accept a predetermined life in the family business, or lose everything and struggle alone against overwhelming odds. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling of my childhood bedroom, surrounded by participation trophies and family photographs that suddenly felt like artifacts from someone else's life. The girl who had dreamed of changing the world through technology felt naive and foolish compared to the harsh reality of family expectations and financial dependence. Little did I know that this devastating moment would eventually become the catalyst for something far greater than anything I had originally imagined. The transfer to Columbia University felt like stepping into a gilded cage. My parents had arranged everything with military precision: housing in a prestigious Manhattan apartment, enrollment in their preferred business program, and even a carefully curated social circle of children from families they approved of. Every detail was designed to keep me on the path they had chosen while eliminating any opportunity for technological pursuits. My new roommate, Bethany Walsh, came from a banking dynasty and possessed the kind of effortless sophistication that Manhattan socialites cultivated from birth. She spoke fluent French, played competitive tennis, and could navigate charity auction politics with remarkable skill. Bethany was everything my parents wanted me to become: polished, connected, and completely uninterested in anything that might disrupt established social hierarchies. "Your parents are brilliant for getting you out of that California startup nonsense," she told me during our first week together. "My cousin tried the whole tech entrepreneur thing after Princeton, lost $2 million of family money, and ended up working for his father's real estate firm anyway. Innovation is overrated when you have guaranteed success waiting." The Columbia Business Program emphasized traditional corporate strategy, financial analysis, and market positioning, subjects that felt increasingly hollow compared to the dynamic problem-solving I had experienced in computer science. My professors were accomplished academics and former executives who understood how to manage existing businesses but seemed disconnected from emerging technologies that were reshaping entire industries. Professor Harold Brennan, who taught our strategic management course, perfectly embodied this old-school mentality. During one particularly frustrating lecture about competitive advantage, I raised my hand to discuss how artificial intelligence was creating entirely new categories of business value that traditional analysis couldn't capture. Miss Richardson, he replied with condescending patience, artificial intelligence is essentially sophisticated automation. The fundamental principles of business strategy remain unchanged regardless of technological tools. Companies succeed by understanding their customers, controlling costs, and maintaining competitive barriers. Everything else is academic speculation. His dismissal stung, but it also revealed how completely my family's world was insulated from the technological revolution happening around them. They operated in an echo chamber where traditional business models were considered eternal truths rather than strategies that might become obsolete. My coursework included mandatory internships designed to expose students to various industries. My parents arranged for me to spend the summer at their close friend's investment banking firm, Morrison & Associates, where I was assigned to analyze potential acquisition targets for established corporations. The work was mind-numbing. I spent weeks creating spreadsheets, comparing financial ratios, reading regulatory filings, and preparing presentation materials for senior bankers who would present my research to clients. The entire process felt like elaborate theater designed to justify enormous fees for relatively straightforward financial analysis. My supervisor, Janet Morrison, was the founder's daughter and a woman who had clearly followed a similar path to the one my parents envisioned for me. She had graduated from prestigious schools, worked briefly at respected firms, and eventually joined her family's business where she now manages major client relationships. The key to success in finance, she explained during one of our mentoring sessions, is understanding that relationships matter more than innovation. Clients choose firms they trust, and trust comes from consistent performance over many years. Your family name opens doors that brilliant unknown graduates could never access. But even as I dutifully completed my assignments and maintained acceptable grades, I continued following technological developments through online communities, industry publications, and late-night research sessions. The artificial intelligence field was advancing rapidly, with breakthrough papers published monthly and startup companies achieving valuations that would have seemed impossible just years earlier. I discovered that my Logiflow concept, which my family had dismissed as student fantasy, was actually part of a larger trend toward AI-powered optimization that was attracting billions in venture capital investment. Companies with far less sophisticated algorithms than mine were receiving funding rounds worth tens of millions of dollars. This knowledge created a constant internal tension. During family dinners, I listened to my parents discuss Richardson Industries' challenges with supply chain inefficiencies, knowing that I possessed technical solutions they refused to consider. When Cameron complained about logistics bottlenecks that were costing the company hundreds of thousands in delayed deliveries, I bit my tongue rather than mention my abandoned app. The worst moments came during Columbia's entrepreneurship guest lectures, where successful tech founders shared their stories of building companies from dormitory prototypes. Each presentation felt like a glimpse into an alternate life where I had possessed the courage to defy my family's demands. One particularly painful evening featured Dr. Sarah Chen, founder of DataStream Analytics, a company that had revolutionized manufacturing efficiency through machine learning applications. Her technology was remarkably similar to concepts I had developed for Logiflow, but she had secured venture capital funding and built a company worth over $500 million. During the question period, I asked about the challenges of developing AI algorithms for complex optimization. Dr. Chen's detailed response revealed that she understood exactly the technical problems I had been working to solve. After the lecture, she approached me personally. "That was an unusually sophisticated question," she said. "Are you working on optimization algorithms yourself?" I hesitated, knowing that any honest answer might reach my parents through Columbia's networking channels. "I've done some research," I replied carefully. "If you're interested in internship opportunities, DataStream is always looking for talented students with AI experience. We particularly value people who understand both the technical and business applications." Her business card burned in my pocket for weeks afterward. The opportunity represented everything I wanted: meaningful work on cutting-edge technology with a company that was actually changing how businesses operated. Meanwhile, my relationship with my family grew increasingly strained. Our monthly dinners became exercises in maintaining appearances while avoiding topics that might trigger conflict. I learned to nod appropriately when they discussed Richardson Industries' expansion plans, to smile politely when they introduced me to potential romantic prospects from appropriate families, and to deflect questions about my future career goals. My brother Cameron seemed oblivious to my internal struggle. He thrived in his role at Richardson Industries, closed major deals regularly, and earned our father's praise for his strategic thinking and client management skills. During one particularly awkward family gathering, he announced his engagement to Victoria Ashford, daughter of a prominent real estate development family. Cameron understands what it means to build something lasting, my father said, raising his glass in a toast. Marriage, like business, succeeds when both parties share the same values and long-term vision. The subtle pressure was unmistakable. My romantic relationships were subject to the same scrutiny as my career choices, with my parents expecting me to eventually marry someone who would complement rather than challenge the family's social and business position. I had been dating Michael Torres, a brilliant doctoral student in computer science who shared my passion for AI applications. Our conversations about technology were intellectually stimulating in ways that my Columbia classmates couldn't match, but I knew that Michael's background, first-generation college graduate from a working-class Latino family, would never meet my parents' approval. The relationship became another source of internal conflict, as I found myself compartmentalizing my life into pieces that couldn't intersect. Michael knew nothing about my family's wealth or business empire, while my family remained unaware that I was seriously involved with someone they would consider completely unsuitable. This double life became unsustainable during my junior year, when Michael began discussing his post-graduation plans, which included launching a startup focused on educational technology applications. His enthusiasm reminded me painfully of my own abandoned dreams, and I realized that I was living vicariously through his ambitions rather than pursuing my own. The breaking point came during spring break, when my parents arranged for me to spend a week at Richardson Industries headquarters, ostensibly to gain exposure to different aspects of the business, but actually to reinforce my expected future role in the company. I shadowed various executives, attended board meetings, and observed daily operations that I now understood could be dramatically improved through technological solutions. The inefficiencies were everywhere: manual processes that could be automated, data analysis performed on outdated systems, communication bottlenecks that slowed decision-making throughout the organization. During a logistics planning meeting, I watched managers struggle with exactly the kind of optimization problems that Logiflow had been designed to solve. They were manually coordinating shipping schedules, trying to balance cost minimization with delivery requirements, and failing to account for dynamic variables that affected transportation efficiency. Unable to remain silent, I suggested that artificial intelligence could automate much of their analysis and generate more optimal solutions than human planners could achieve manually. The room fell silent. My father's expression darkened as he realized that I was essentially proposing the same technology venture he had forbidden me to pursue. "Stephanie," he said with forced calm, "we appreciate your interest in improving our operations. However, Richardson Industries has thrived for decades using proven methodologies. We're not interested in experimental technologies that could disrupt working systems." But I could see in the other executives' faces that my suggestion had resonated. Several asked follow-up questions about implementation costs and potential benefits before my father diplomatically changed the subject. That evening, my parents called me into the same office where they had originally delivered their ultimatum about abandoning Logiflow. "Your behavior today was completely inappropriate," my mother began. "You used a professional meeting to promote ideas that we explicitly told you to abandon. This suggests that you haven't fully committed to the path we've arranged for you." My father was more direct. "We're concerned that your Columbia education isn't providing the focus you need. Perhaps a more structured environment would be beneficial." They had researched an accelerated MBA program at Northwestern that would allow me to complete my business education in 18 months while participating in intensive corporate internships. The program was designed for students from wealthy families who wanted to fast-track their entry into family businesses. This would allow you to join Richardson Industries immediately after graduation as an assistant vice president, my father explained. You'd have real responsibility from day one and clear advancement opportunities based on performance. The offer was simultaneously generous and suffocating. They were providing a direct path to executive status within their company while ensuring that I would never have the time or opportunity to pursue technological ventures independently. I realized that my compliance with their demands had only encouraged them to exert even greater control over my future. Each step I took along their prescribed path made it harder to change direction without losing everything I had already invested in the journey they had chosen for me. As I sat in that office, surrounded by the symbols of Richardson family success, I understood that I was approaching a final crossroads. Continue accepting their limitations and live a comfortable but unfulfilling life, or find the courage to risk everything for the possibility of building something genuinely meaningful. The decision I made at that moment would determine not just my own future, but ultimately the fate of the family empire that my parents believed they were protecting. The Northwestern Accelerated MBA program felt like an academic prison designed specifically for reluctant heirs. 28 students from wealthy families, all following predetermined paths into their family businesses, gathered in Chicago for what our professors cheerfully called Executive Leadership Intensive Training. The program's selling point was speed. Compress 2 years of business education into 18 months through extended semesters and corporate immersion experiences. My classmates included the future heads of hotel chains, manufacturing dynasties, agricultural empires, and financial institutions. Most seemed genuinely excited about inheriting their family legacies, treating the program as an exclusive networking opportunity rather than educational necessity. They organized weekend trips to each other's family properties, discussed merging business interests, and planned elaborate post-graduation celebrations. I felt like an alien observing a foreign culture. During group projects, while others debated acquisition strategies and market expansion tactics, I found myself mentally redesigning their operational systems through technological solutions they couldn't even conceptualize. My roommate assignment was particularly torturous. Ashley Pemberton came from a dynasty that owned 17 luxury resort properties across 3 countries. She possessed unlimited confidence in her future as a hospitality executive and couldn't understand why I seemed unenthusiastic about inheriting Richardson Industries. "Your family's logistics operation is fascinating," she said, while we reviewed case studies. "The potential for international expansion is enormous. You could be running supply chains across multiple continents within 5 years. Why do you always look like someone canceled Christmas when we discuss family business opportunities?" How could I explain that running supply chains felt like operating horse-drawn carriages when I understood how to build rockets? Every logistics case study we analyzed could be revolutionized through AI optimization, but discussing technological solutions was discouraged in favor of traditional management approaches. The program included mandatory corporate rotations, where students spent 3-month periods working at different companies to gain cross-industry exposure. My first rotation was at Pemberton Hotels, where I was assigned to analyze operational efficiency across their resort portfolio. The hospitality industry's technological backwardness was staggering. Most properties still used systems that seemed designed in the 1990s, with separate platforms for reservations, housekeeping, maintenance, guest services, and financial reporting. Staff wasted hours manually entering data into multiple systems, creating countless opportunities for errors and inefficiencies. I spent my rotation secretly developing integration protocols that could synchronize all operational systems automatically. The solution would eliminate data redundancy, provide real-time performance analytics, and optimize resource allocation based on occupancy patterns and seasonal demand variations. My analysis revealed that Pemberton Hotels could reduce operational costs by approximately 30% while simultaneously improving guest satisfaction through faster service delivery and proactive maintenance scheduling. When I presented my findings to Ashley's father, Richard Pemberton, his reaction was predictably conservative. These efficiency improvements are impressive, Stephanie, but our guests choose Pemberton Hotels for personal service and attention to detail. Technology tends to create distance between staff and guests, which undermines our core value proposition. I tried explaining that the technology would actually enhance personal service by freeing staff from administrative tasks so they could focus entirely on guest interaction. Automated systems would handle routine operations, while human employees provided the creativity and emotional intelligence that technology couldn't replicate. But Mr. Pemberton had already made his decision. Hospitality is fundamentally about human connection. Our family has built this business through personal relationships and authentic experiences. We're not interested in becoming a technology company. The dismissal was becoming a familiar pattern. Every industry leader I encountered possessed deep expertise in their traditional operational methods, but remained willfully blind to technological opportunities that could transform their entire business model. My second rotation was at Henderson Manufacturing, a company that produced industrial equipment for construction and mining operations. The family had been building heavy machinery for 4 generations, with a reputation for durability and reliability that commanded premium pricing throughout their market sector. The manufacturing processes I observed were impressive from an engineering perspective, but laughably inefficient from a data analysis standpoint. Production scheduling was based on historical patterns rather than predictive analytics, inventory management relied on manual tracking systems, and quality control used statistical sampling instead of comprehensive AI-powered inspection. I spent weeks developing machine learning algorithms that could optimize production schedules based on real-time demand forecasting, supply chain variables, and equipment maintenance requirements. The system could reduce manufacturing costs by approximately 25% while improving delivery reliability and product quality. Jennifer Henderson, the founder's granddaughter who managed operations, was initially intrigued by my analysis. Unlike other family business heirs I had met, she possessed genuine curiosity about innovative approaches to traditional challenges. "Show me exactly how this predictive scheduling would work," she said during a private meeting in her office. "Our current system generates consistent results, but we're always struggling with resource allocation and delivery timing." I demonstrated the algorithm using their actual production data from the previous year, showing how AI optimization could have eliminated most delivery delays while reducing overtime costs and inventory waste. The potential savings were substantial enough to fund significant expansion or capital improvements. Jennifer seemed genuinely excited about the possibilities. This could give us a massive competitive advantage. Most of our competitors still use manual planning methods. If we could deliver faster and cheaper while maintaining quality, we could capture significant market share. But when she presented my recommendations to the Henderson family board, the response was swift and negative. Her grandfather, the company founder, was particularly hostile to technological innovation. "We've built this company by understanding our customers and delivering superior products. That comes from experience and craftsmanship, not computer algorithms. Manufacturing is about precision and reliability, not experimental technology that could fail when customers depend on us." The board voted unanimously to reject any AI implementation despite Jennifer's arguments about competitive advantages and cost savings. After the meeting, she apologized privately. "My family built this business through conservative decision-making and risk avoidance. They view any technological change as potential disruption rather than opportunity. I'm sorry they couldn't see the value in your work." The pattern was becoming clear. Traditional family businesses were structured to resist exactly the kind of innovation that could transform their industries. The very conservatism that had enabled their long-term success now prevented them from adapting to rapidly changing technological landscapes. Meanwhile, my relationship with Michael Torres was reaching a crisis point. We had been dating for over a year, but the secrecy required to hide our relationship from my family was creating unbearable stress. Michael had completed his doctoral research and received multiple job offers from technology companies, including several startups that offered equity compensation with enormous potential value. "I don't understand why you're so secretive about your family," he said. "Are you embarrassed about dating someone like me?" The question was devastating because it was partially accurate. Not embarrassed about Michael himself. He was brilliant, principled, and more genuinely accomplished than any of the trust fund heirs my parents wanted me to meet. But I was terrified of the consequences if my family discovered our relationship. "It's complicated," I replied weakly, knowing how inadequate that sounded. "Everything is complicated with you, Stephanie. Your family, your career plans, your future goals. You never give straight answers about anything that matters." Michael had accepted a position with a Silicon Valley startup developing educational AI applications. The company offered him a senior engineering role with significant equity participation, but accepting meant relocating to California immediately after graduation. "Come with me," he said during our last conversation before his departure. "You have more technical knowledge than half the engineers I've worked with. Any AI company would be lucky to have you, and you could finally work on projects that actually interest you." The offer was everything I wanted: meaningful work, intellectual challenge, and a relationship with someone who understood my passion for technology. But accepting meant abandoning my family completely, losing all financial support, and starting over with no resources beyond my own capabilities. I was paralyzed by the magnitude of the decision. Michael left for California, and we maintained contact through increasingly infrequent phone calls and messages. He shared updates about his work developing algorithms that were revolutionizing online education, while I continued attending classes about traditional business management strategies. The final semester of the Northwestern program included a capstone project where students developed comprehensive strategic plans for their family businesses. My assignment was to create a 5-year growth strategy for Richardson Industries that would position the company for continued expansion and profitability. I spent months researching market trends, analyzing competitive landscapes, and developing financial projections. But every strategic recommendation I considered could be dramatically enhanced through technological implementation that my family would never accept. The cognitive dissonance became unbearable during my final presentation to the program faculty. I stood before professors and classmates presenting a conservative growth plan that emphasized incremental expansion and operational refinement, while knowing that I possessed technological solutions that could revolutionize the entire logistics industry. After the presentation, Professor Elizabeth Morrison approached me privately. She was one of the few faculty members who encouraged innovative thinking rather than traditional business approaches. "Your strategic analysis was technically sound, Stephanie, but it lacked the passion I've seen in your other work. You seem to be presenting someone else's vision rather than your own." Her observation was uncomfortably accurate. I had spent 3 years developing expertise in artificial intelligence and optimization algorithms, only to create business plans that deliberately ignored technological opportunities. What would you do if you were completely free to pursue your own vision? The question haunted me for weeks after graduation. As I prepared to begin my predetermined role as Assistant Vice President at Richardson Industries, I realized that I was about to commit to a life that would systematically suppress everything I valued most about myself. The night before my first day at the family company, I sat in my childhood bedroom surrounded by the remnants of my technological interests: programming books, prototype circuit boards, and printed research papers about AI applications. Tomorrow, I would begin a career designed to ensure I never used any of this knowledge professionally. But something had changed during my years of forced compliance. The young woman who had been devastated by her parents' ultimatum was gone, replaced by someone who understood exactly what she was capable of achieving and exactly what she was being prevented from becoming. As I prepared for sleep, I made a decision that would change everything. I wouldn't accept the role they had planned for me. I wouldn't spend my life managing someone else's vision while my own possibilities withered from neglect. The next morning, I would walk into that office for the last time as their obedient daughter. What happened after that would depend entirely on how much courage I could summon to finally claim my own life. Walking into Richardson Industries headquarters that Monday morning felt like entering a mausoleum dedicated to business practices from another era. The marble lobby displayed portraits of 3 generations of Richardson leaders, each one positioned to convey authority and permanence. My grandfather's stern expression seemed to judge anyone who might question the company's traditional methods, while my father's more recent portrait projected the confidence of someone who had never encountered a problem that couldn't be solved through established protocols. The executive floor buzzed with the controlled energy of a company running at full capacity. Senior managers moved between conference rooms carrying thick folders of printed reports. Secretaries coordinated schedules through desk phones rather than digital calendars, and every conversation I overheard involved the kind of operational challenges that modern technology could solve automatically. My assigned office was strategically located between Cameron's suite and my father's corner domain, ensuring that my integration into the company hierarchy would be closely monitored. The nameplate on my door read Stephanie Richardson, Assistant Vice President, Strategic Development, a title that sounded impressive but came with carefully limited responsibilities. Cameron appeared within minutes of my arrival, carrying a stack of files that represented my initial project assignments. His enthusiasm about bringing me into the family business seemed genuine, though I suspected he viewed my presence as validation of the Richardson legacy rather than recognition of my individual capabilities. "Welcome to the real world, little sister," he said with a grin that reminded me of our childhood competitions. "Dad has outlined some excellent learning opportunities for your first quarter: market analysis, client relationship support, and operational efficiency reviews. Perfect foundation work for understanding how we actually run this business." The assignments were methodical, designed to familiarize me with Richardson Industries operations without providing access to sensitive information or decision-making authority. I would analyze market trends for industries where we already had established positions, support senior managers in maintaining existing client relationships, and review operational procedures to identify minor efficiency improvements. It was exactly the kind of work that would keep me busy while ensuring I remained safely contained within predetermined boundaries. My first assignment involved analyzing expansion opportunities in the Southeast logistics market, where Richardson Industries was considering opening a new distribution facility. The analysis required weeks of research into regional economic conditions, transportation infrastructure, labor markets, and competitive positioning. As I dove into the research, I couldn't help but notice that every major decision factor could be optimized through artificial intelligence applications that I understood intimately. Site selection could be enhanced through machine learning algorithms that processed far more variables than human analysts could consider simultaneously. Demand forecasting could incorporate real-time economic indicators, weather patterns, and consumer behavior data to predict market changes months in advance. But my instructions were explicit: provide traditional strategic analysis using established methodologies, not experimental approaches that might confuse or concern senior management. I spent 3 weeks developing a comprehensive market analysis that identified optimal locations, timing, and investment requirements for Southeast expansion. The report was methodical, well-researched, and completely conventional, exactly what my father had requested. When I presented my findings to the Strategic Planning Committee, the reception was politely positive. The senior managers nodded approvingly as I outlined market opportunities, competitive advantages, and financial projections that supported expansion into the Atlanta and Charlotte metropolitan areas. "Excellent work, Stephanie," my father said after the presentation. "This demonstrates exactly the kind of thorough analysis that supports sound business decisions. Your Northwestern training is clearly paying dividends." But as the meeting continued, I watched these experienced executives struggle with exactly the kind of complex optimization problems that my abandoned AI algorithms could solve effortlessly. They debated facility locations based on limited data, estimated demand patterns using historical averages that ignored emerging trends, and planned logistics networks through manual calculations that missed countless efficiency opportunities. The frustration was overwhelming. I possessed technological solutions that could revolutionize their entire decision-making process, but I was expected to remain silent while they solved 21st century problems using 20th century methods. During my second month, I was assigned to support a major client presentation for Meridian Construction, a company that was considering switching their supply chain management to Richardson Industries. The potential contract was worth $12 million annually and would establish us as the preferred logistics provider for one of the region's largest construction firms. The presentation required demonstrating how Richardson Industries could reduce Meridian's transportation costs while improving delivery reliability and inventory management. Our senior account managers had developed a proposal based on our standard service offerings, but I could see immediately that we were competing at a disadvantage. Our competitors were offering basic supply chain optimization, but none of them understood the advanced AI applications that could transform Meridian's entire operational efficiency. If Richardson Industries could demonstrate truly revolutionary logistics capabilities, we wouldn't just win this contract, we could establish a new standard for the entire industry. I worked secretly during evenings and weekends to develop an enhanced proposal that incorporated machine learning optimization algorithms. The system could reduce Meridian's transportation costs by 40% while improving delivery accuracy to near-perfect levels. More importantly, the AI would adapt continuously to changing conditions, providing competitive advantages that would compound over time. The technology was based on Logiflow concepts I had developed years ago, but refined through everything I had learned during my business education and corporate rotations. This wasn't student speculation anymore. It was a fully developed commercial solution that could be implemented immediately. 3 days before the Meridian presentation, I requested a private meeting with my father and Cameron to discuss enhancement opportunities for our proposal. "I've been analyzing Meridian's operational challenges," I began carefully, "and I believe we can offer capabilities that none of our competitors can match." I outlined my AI optimization system, demonstrating how machine learning algorithms could analyze thousands of variables simultaneously to generate supply chain solutions that human planners couldn't achieve manually. The presentation included detailed technical specifications, implementation timelines, and projected performance improvements that would make Richardson Industries the undisputed leader in logistics technology. My father listened with growing tension, while Cameron's expression shifted from interest to alarm as he realized what I was proposing. "Stephanie," my father said when I finished, "we explicitly discussed this when you were in college. Richardson Industries is not a technology company. We succeed through reliable service delivery and personal client relationships, not experimental software that could fail when customers depend on us." "But Dad, this isn't experimental anymore," I replied, feeling years of suppressed frustration finally breaking through. "AI optimization is revolutionizing logistics across every major market. Companies that don't adapt will be obsoleted by competitors who understand these capabilities." Cameron intervened with the diplomatic tone he used during difficult business negotiations. Even if this technology worked perfectly, implementing it would require massive infrastructure changes and staff retraining. We'd be risking our core competencies for unproven advantages. "The advantages aren't unproven," I said, my voice rising despite my efforts to remain professional. "I can demonstrate exactly how this system outperforms traditional methods across every relevant metric: transportation efficiency, cost reduction, delivery reliability, inventory optimization. The AI beats human planning in every category." My father stood abruptly, his patience finally exhausted. "This conversation is over. You will support the existing proposal exactly as our senior managers have developed it. Any further discussion of AI technology will be considered insubordination and dealt with accordingly." The finality in his voice was unmistakable, but something inside me refused to accept defeat this time. Years of compliance and compromise had led to this moment, where I was being ordered to watch our company lose a major contract, rather than use capabilities that could guarantee victory. What if we lose the Meridian contract because our competitors offer superior technology? I asked quietly. Then we'll pursue other opportunities, using methods that align with our company values, he replied. Richardson Industries has survived and prospered for 70 years without artificial intelligence. We're not about to abandon proven strategies for technological fantasies. That evening, I made a decision that would change everything. Instead of accepting defeat, I contacted Meridian Construction directly and requested a private meeting with their operations director, Patricia Sullivan. I identified myself as a Richardson Industries team member who had developed enhancement proposals that weren't included in our formal presentation. Patricia agreed to meet the following afternoon at a coffee shop near their headquarters. She was a practical woman with an engineering background who understood operational efficiency from hands-on experience rather than theoretical study. I appreciate your initiative, Stephanie, she said, as I outlined my AI optimization proposal. Our current logistics challenges are exactly what you're describing. Manual planning is costing us hundreds of thousands annually through inefficiencies we can't solve using traditional methods. I demonstrated the system using their actual operational data, showing how AI algorithms could optimize their entire supply chain to achieve cost savings and efficiency improvements that exceeded anything their current providers could offer. Patricia was stunned by the results. This is exactly what we need to remain competitive in upcoming project bids. How quickly could Richardson Industries implement this system? That's where things become complicated, I admitted. Richardson Industries' leadership isn't committed to technological innovation at this level. However, I believe I could develop this system independently and license it to companies like Meridian that understand its value. The conversation lasted 3 hours as we explored technical specifications, implementation requirements, and commercial possibilities. By the end of our meeting, Patricia had offered to serve as the first customer for an independent logistics optimization company if I decided to leave Richardson Industries and pursue the technology commercially. Driving home that evening, I realized that I had just crossed a line that made returning to my predetermined path impossible. I had essentially pitched my own competing business to one of Richardson Industries' most important potential clients. The choice was now binary. Abandon my technological capabilities permanently and accept a limited role in my family's traditional business, or risk everything to build the company I had always envisioned. That night, I called Michael Torres in California. We hadn't spoken in several weeks, but I needed to talk with someone who understood what I was contemplating. I'm finally ready to take the leap, I told him, ready to build the company we talked about years ago. What changed? He asked, though I could hear the excitement in his voice. I realized that some opportunities don't wait for permission, I replied, and I'm tired of asking for permission to use my own capabilities. The next morning, I would face my parents with a decision that would shatter their expectations and probably destroy our relationship forever. But for the first time in years, I felt like I was finally about to become the person I was supposed to be. The war between family loyalty and personal authenticity was about to reach its final battle. The following morning arrived with the kind of crisp autumn clarity that made decisions feel inevitable. I dressed carefully in the navy business suit that my mother had selected for my first day at Richardson Industries, knowing it would be the last time I wore it as their compliant daughter. The symbolism wasn't lost on me. Today, I would shed the costume of family expectations and finally reveal who I actually was. I arrived at the office 2 hours early, using the quiet time to prepare the most important presentation of my life. Not for a client or a board of directors, but for my parents. A comprehensive demonstration of why their vision for my future was not just wrong, but catastrophically limiting for both me and Richardson Industries. My presentation included financial projections showing how AI optimization could triple Richardson Industries' profitability within 3 years, competitive analysis revealing how companies that ignored technological advancements were being systematically displaced, and detailed technical specifications proving that my algorithms weren't experimental fantasies but mature solutions ready for immediate commercial deployment. At 9 o'clock sharp, I requested an emergency meeting with my father and Cameron. When I entered my father's office, they were already seated at his conference table, reviewing quarterly performance reports with the methodical attention that had made Richardson Industries successful for 70 decades. "This is unexpected, Stephanie," my father said without looking up from his documents. I thought we had resolved yesterday's discussion about inappropriate technological proposals. We need to talk about the future of this company, I replied, setting up my laptop despite his obvious irritation. Cameron glanced between us, sensing the tension that was about to explode. Maybe we should schedule this for later in the week when— No, I interrupted, surprising myself with the firmness in my voice. This conversation has been delayed for 6 years. It ends today. I launched into my presentation with the passion that had been suppressed through years of forced compliance. I showed them market analysis proving that logistics companies using AI optimization were capturing contracts at rates that would eliminate traditional competitors within 5 years. I demonstrated how my algorithms could solve Richardson Industries' most persistent operational challenges while reducing costs and improving customer satisfaction. The evidence was overwhelming. Any rational business analysis would conclude that implementing AI optimization wasn't just an opportunity, it was essential for survival in an increasingly technological marketplace.
My father listened with growing agitation, while Cameron took notes that I suspected were more about documenting my insubordination than understanding my technical proposals. "This is exactly the kind of thinking that I've been trying to redirect," my father said when I finished. "You're so focused on technological novelty that you've lost sight of fundamental business principles. Richardson Industries succeeds because we understand our customers, deliver reliable service, and maintain relationships built over decades. None of that requires artificial intelligence." "But Dad, our customers are already beginning to expect technological capabilities that we can't provide," I replied. "Meridian Construction specifically asked about supply chain optimization during their preliminary discussions. If we can't offer AI-powered solutions, they'll find companies that can." Cameron leaned forward with the expression he used when delivering unwelcome news to clients. "Even if everything you're saying is technically accurate, implementing this level of technological change would require massive capital investment and risk disrupting our current operations. We could lose existing clients while chasing hypothetical future opportunities." "The opportunities aren't hypothetical," I said, opening my laptop to show them Patricia Sullivan's email. "Meridian Construction has already confirmed that they would commit to a long-term contract if we could provide AI optimization capabilities. They're offering to pay premium rates for technology that would cost us less than 2% of annual revenue to implement." My father's expression darkened as he realized what I was revealing. "You contacted Meridian directly without authorization? You discussed company capabilities that don't exist and made commitments we haven't approved?" "I showed them what we could accomplish if this company had the vision to embrace innovation instead of clinging to outdated methods," I replied, feeling years of frustration finally finding a voice. "You violated company protocol and potentially damaged our relationship with a major prospective client," Cameron said, his diplomatic tone replaced by genuine anger. "This isn't just about technology preferences anymore, Stephanie. This is about professional conduct and business ethics." My father stood and walked to the window overlooking the city skyline, his back turned as he processed the implications of what I had revealed. When he spoke, his voice carried the cold authority that had intimidated business competitors for decades. "You will contact Patricia Sullivan immediately and clarify that your technological proposals don't represent Richardson Industries' actual capabilities. You will apologize for any confusion and refer all future discussions to our senior account management team." "I won't do that," I said quietly. The words hung in the air like a physical presence. My father turned slowly, his expression shifting from irritation to something approaching shock. "I'm sorry, what did you say?" "I said I won't do that," I repeated, my voice steadier than I felt. "I won't apologize for demonstrating solutions that could revolutionize our entire industry. I won't pretend that superior technology doesn't exist because it makes you uncomfortable." Cameron stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the hardwood floor. "Stephanie, you need to think very carefully about what you're saying. This isn't just about one client or one project. This is about your entire future with this company."
My future with this company? I laughed, surprising myself with the bitterness in my voice. What future is that, Cameron? Spending the next 30 years implementing other people's conservative strategies while pretending I don't understand how to build something genuinely revolutionary? My father approached the conference table with deliberate steps, his expression transitioning into the mode he used during hostile business negotiations. You seem to have forgotten that Richardson Industries provided your education, your training, and your current position. Everything you know about business, you learned using resources that this family provided. Your technological interests are secondary to your obligations to the company that invested in you. My technological capabilities aren't secondary to anything, I replied, standing to meet his gaze directly. They're the most valuable asset this company could possess if you weren't too stubborn to recognize their worth. Valuable? My father's voice rose for the first time during our confrontation. You want to risk a 70-year business legacy on computer algorithms that you developed as a college student? You want to abandon proven methods that support hundreds of employees and their families for experimental technology that could fail catastrophically? The only thing that's going to fail catastrophically is refusing to adapt to technological change. Every industry leader who ignored digital transformation has been replaced by companies that understood innovation. Richardson Industries will be next unless we evolve beyond manual processes and traditional thinking. Cameron attempted to restore diplomatic calm. Nobody is arguing against appropriate technological upgrades, Stephanie, but systematic change requires careful planning, risk assessment, and gradual implementation. You're proposing to revolutionize our entire operational model based on theoretical advantages. The advantages aren't theoretical, I said, pulling up performance data on my laptop screen. I've been running optimization simulations using Richardson Industries' actual operational data for months. The AI algorithms consistently outperform our current methods by margins that would transform our competitive position. My father stared at the laptop screen, displaying charts and graphs that demonstrated systematic superiority of AI planning over human logistics management. For a moment, I thought I saw recognition in his expression, acknowledgement that my technological solutions actually worked as advertised. But then his business instincts reasserted control. Even if your simulations are accurate, implementing this technology would fundamentally change what Richardson Industries represents. We're not a software company, Stephanie. We're a logistics provider that succeeds through personal relationships and reliable service delivery. We could be both, I said desperately. We could maintain everything that makes Richardson Industries successful while adding capabilities that would make us unbeatable in the marketplace. No, my father said with finality. We could risk everything that makes Richardson Industries successful by pursuing capabilities that our competitors could eventually replicate. Technology provides temporary advantages at best. Relationships and reputation create lasting value. I realized at that moment that no amount of evidence or logical argument would change their fundamental worldview. They had built their entire identity around traditional business methods and couldn't conceive of success through any other approach. Then I resign, I said simply. The words seemed to surprise me as much as them. I hadn't consciously planned to quit, but saying it felt like finally acknowledging a truth I had been avoiding. Cameron sat down heavily while my father remained standing with an expression of disbelief. You're resigning because we won't implement your technological proposals? My father asked. You're abandoning a guaranteed executive position because we prefer traditional business methods? I'm resigning because I can't spend my life pretending to be someone I'm not, I replied. I'm resigning because this company will never value what I'm actually capable of contributing. And what exactly do you think you're capable of contributing without Richardson Industries' support? My father asked with obvious skepticism. You have no independent business experience, no startup capital, and no client relationships outside this company. Your technological expertise is worthless without operational infrastructure and market access. We'll see about that, I said, closing my laptop and gathering my materials.
Stephanie, wait, Cameron said as I moved toward the door. Don't make a decision you'll regret for the rest of your life. Family businesses provide security and legacy that technology startups can't match. Most entrepreneurs fail completely. I paused at the door, looking back at both of them. Most entrepreneurs don't have 6 years of suppressed innovation and the technological solutions that could revolutionize an entire industry. My father's final words followed me into the hallway. When your technology venture fails, don't expect Richardson Industries to take you back. Some bridges, once burned, cannot be rebuilt. I walked to my office, packed my personal belongings into a single box, and submitted my formal resignation to Human Resources. Within 2 hours, I had cleared out my desk and surrendered my company identification badge. As I drove away from Richardson Industries headquarters for the last time as an employee, I felt simultaneously terrified and exhilarated. I had just abandoned the security of family wealth and guaranteed career success for the uncertainty of entrepreneurial independence. But for the first time in 6 years, I was finally free to become the person I was supposed to be. The only question now was whether I possessed the courage and capability to prove that my parents had made the biggest mistake in Richardson Industries' 70-year history. The first month after leaving Richardson Industries felt like free-falling through an endless void. I had burned the bridge to family wealth, abandoned guaranteed career security, and committed to building a technology company with nothing but theoretical algorithms and righteous indignation. My savings account contained exactly $43,000, enough to survive for maybe 6 months if I lived like a graduate student. I rented a cramped studio apartment in Cambridge, Massachusetts, close enough to MIT and Harvard to access their entrepreneurial ecosystems, but far enough from Westchester County to avoid accidental encounters with family members. The apartment came furnished with a fold-out couch, a card table that served as my desk, and internet service that became my lifeline to the outside world. Michael Torres flew in from California within a week of my resignation, bringing not just emotional support, but practical guidance from someone who had actually launched a successful technology startup. His educational AI company had secured Series A funding and was growing rapidly, giving him credibility that my theoretical knowledge couldn't match. The first challenge is validation, he explained during our marathon planning sessions. You need to prove that real customers will pay real money for your AI optimization solutions. Academic brilliance means nothing if businesses won't buy what you're selling. We spent 2 weeks refining my Logiflow algorithms and developing a minimum viable product that could demonstrate supply chain optimization capabilities to potential customers. Michael's programming expertise filled gaps in my coding abilities, while my business education helped us structure the company for eventual investor funding. Patricia Sullivan from Meridian Construction became our first official customer through a consulting agreement that provided immediate revenue while we developed our full commercial platform. Her company paid $50,000 for a customized optimization system that reduced their transportation costs by 38% within the first month of implementation. This is exactly what we needed, Patricia told me during our monthly review meeting. Your AI system identified inefficiencies that our logistics team never would have discovered through manual analysis. We're saving more money than we expected while improving delivery reliability. More importantly, Patricia provided referrals to other construction companies that were struggling with similar supply chain challenges. Word began spreading through industry networks about a revolutionary optimization technology that delivered measurable results rather than theoretical promises. Within 3 months, I had secured consulting contracts with 6 companies across different industries: construction, manufacturing, retail distribution, and food service logistics. Each client provided not just revenue, but invaluable feedback about real-world implementation challenges that my algorithms needed to address. The breakthrough came when David Chen, CEO of Atlas Logistics, approached me about licensing my technology for his rapidly growing third-party logistics company. Atlas managed supply chains for dozens of mid-sized manufacturers and retailers, giving them massive scale that could benefit from AI optimization. We've been looking for competitive advantages that would differentiate Atlas from established logistics providers. Your optimization technology could allow us to offer service levels and cost efficiency that larger competitors can't match.
The licensing deal was worth $2 million annually, with performance bonuses that could double that amount if my AI systems achieved specified efficiency targets. More importantly, Atlas provided the operational scale needed to refine my algorithms using data from hundreds of different supply chains. With consistent revenue established, I was able to hire my first employees. Sarah Kim joined as Chief Technology Officer after completing her PhD in machine learning at Stanford. Marcus Williams became VP of Business Development, bringing enterprise sales experience from his previous role at a major software company. Jennifer Park, fresh from her MBA at Wharton, took responsibility for operations and client management. We moved from my cramped apartment to a proper office space in Cambridge's technology corridor, complete with server infrastructure needed to process the massive datasets that powered our AI optimization systems. The company, which I named Aurora Tech Ventures, was becoming a legitimate business rather than a desperate escape from family expectations. The real validation came 18 months after my resignation, when Aurora Tech Ventures received its first venture capital investment. Pinnacle Ventures, a respected Boston-area VC firm, led a Series A funding round that valued my company at $25 million and provided $8 million in growth capital. Your AI optimization platform represents exactly the kind of practical artificial intelligence application that we believe will dominate the next decade, explained Lisa Martinez, Pinnacle's managing partner. You've proven commercial viability with real customers and demonstrated scalability that could transform multiple industries. The funding announcement appeared in TechCrunch, Forbes, and The Wall Street Journal, establishing Aurora Tech Ventures as a rising star in the artificial intelligence sector. Industry analysts began describing my optimization algorithms as breakthrough technology that could reshape how businesses managed complex operational challenges. But the most satisfying moment came when Meridian Construction contacted me about a massive project opportunity that would require Aurora Tech Ventures to compete directly against Richardson Industries for a $50 million logistics contract. The State Transportation Department is modernizing their infrastructure development process, Patricia Sullivan explained during our video conference. They want logistics providers who can demonstrate advanced technological capabilities rather than traditional service delivery. Your AI optimization platform positions Aurora perfectly for this competition. The irony was delicious. Less than 2 years after my father had dismissed my technological proposals as worthless fantasies, I was preparing to compete against his company using exactly the capabilities he had refused to develop. I assembled a proposal team that included technical demonstrations of our AI platform's superiority over manual logistics planning, financial projections showing cost savings that traditional methods couldn't achieve, and performance guarantees that reflected our confidence in the technology's capabilities. The State Transportation Department's evaluation process included presentations from 5 logistics providers, with Richardson Industries positioned as the incumbent favorite due to their established reputation and political connections. My father and Cameron would be presenting their traditional service model against my revolutionary AI approach.
2 weeks before the final presentations, I received an unexpected phone call from Uncle William, my father's business partner, who had remained neutral during my family conflicts. Stephanie, I wanted you to know that we're aware Aurora Tech Ventures is competing for the state transportation contract, he said carefully. Your father asked me to reach out informally to discuss potential collaboration opportunities. The offer was transparent. Richardson Industries wanted to partner with Aurora Tech Ventures rather than compete directly, recognizing that my AI optimization platform provided capabilities they couldn't match through internal development. What kind of collaboration did you have in mind? I asked, though I already suspected where the conversation was heading. Richardson Industries could acquire Aurora Tech Ventures and integrate your technology platform into our existing service offerings, William explained. You would retain leadership of the AI development team and receive substantial financial compensation for the acquisition. The proposal was financially attractive. William suggested a valuation that would make me wealthy beyond anything I had imagined possible, but accepting would mean returning to Richardson Industries as a subsidiary rather than building Aurora Tech Ventures into an independent powerhouse. I appreciate the offer, I replied, but Aurora Tech Ventures isn't for sale. We're building something revolutionary, not looking for an exit strategy. William's response revealed the desperation behind their overture. Stephanie, your father is concerned that direct competition between family members could damage both companies. Public conflict might create opportunities for other competitors to exploit. Then Richardson Industries should have embraced innovation when they had the opportunity, I said. I offered them exclusive access to this technology 2 years ago. They chose to reject it and dismiss me instead. The phone call ended cordially, but established clear battle lines for the upcoming contract competition. Richardson Industries would represent traditional logistics management, while Aurora Tech Ventures would demonstrate the future of AI-powered optimization. 3 days before our presentation, I learned through industry contacts that Richardson Industries was scrambling to develop their own AI capabilities through emergency consulting partnerships. They had realized too late that competing against Aurora Tech Ventures would require technological solutions they didn't possess. But artificial intelligence systems require years of development and refinement using real operational data. Their last-minute technology partnerships would produce demonstrations rather than functional platforms, while Aurora Tech Ventures could showcase algorithms that had been tested and proven through dozens of successful client implementations. The night before our presentation, Michael flew in from California to provide moral support and strategic advice. We reviewed our technical demonstrations, practiced responses to potential questions, and prepared for what would either validate everything I had risked or prove that my parents had been correct about my limitations. Tomorrow changes everything, Michael said, as we finished our final preparation session. Win or lose, you've already proven that your vision was worth pursuing. Aurora Tech Ventures exists because you had the courage to choose innovation over security. As I prepared for sleep in my Cambridge apartment, surrounded by the artifacts of a business I had built from nothing, I realized that the scared young woman who had been devastated by her parents' ultimatum was gone forever. In her place was an entrepreneur who had created genuine value through technological innovation and business execution. Tomorrow, I would discover whether David had been right to dismiss Goliath, or whether some giants were too powerful to defeat through determination alone. Either way, I was finally fighting the battle on my own terms, using weapons I had forged myself. The Massachusetts State Transportation Building buzzed with nervous energy as 5 logistics companies prepared for the most important presentations of their careers. The $50 million infrastructure modernization contract would establish the winning firm as the state's primary logistics partner for the next decade, with opportunities for expansion that could double or triple that initial value. I arrived 90 minutes early, using the extra time to set up our technical demonstrations and review final presentation notes with my team. Sarah Kim ran diagnostics on our AI platform, while Marcus Williams coordinated with the audiovisual technicians to ensure our live optimization demonstrations would display properly. Richardson Industries team arrived precisely on schedule, led by my father and Cameron, with the confident daring of industry veterans who had never lost a major contract competition. They brought twice as many team members as Aurora Tech Ventures, including senior executives, technical consultants, and what appeared to be recently hired AI specialists. My father spotted me across the lobby and approached with the neutral expression he used during business negotiations. This was our first face-to-face encounter since my resignation 2 years ago, and the tension was immediately apparent to everyone present. "Stephanie," he said with forced cordiality, "congratulations on Aurora Tech Ventures' success. We've been following your progress with interest." "Thank you," I replied, matching his professional tone despite the emotional undercurrents. "I see Richardson Industries has discovered the value of AI optimization technology." "We've always been open to appropriate technological enhancements," Cameron interjected, joining our awkward conversation. "Our new AI partnerships provide capabilities that complement our traditional service strengths." I smiled politely, knowing that their AI partnerships consisted of hastily assembled consulting agreements that would produce impressive demonstrations but lacked the operational sophistication that my platform had developed through years of real-world testing. The presentation order had been determined by lottery, with Aurora Tech Ventures scheduled to present 4th out of 5 companies. This positioning was strategically advantageous because we could observe our competitors' approaches while presenting late enough to make the strongest final impression. Richardson Industries presented 2nd, delivering a polished demonstration of their traditional logistics capabilities enhanced by what they described as cutting-edge artificial intelligence integration.
My father spoke with the authority of 7 decades of family business success, while Cameron highlighted their established client relationships and proven track record. Their AI demonstration was professionally produced, but obviously superficial. The optimization algorithms they showcased could handle simple scheduling problems, but lacked the sophisticated machine learning capabilities needed for complex supply chain management. Any technical expert would recognize the limitations immediately. When Aurora Tech Ventures was called to present, I felt the same focused calm that had carried me through years of family conflicts and business challenges. This was the moment that would validate everything I had risked or prove that my parents' conservative approach had been correct. Distinguished members of the evaluation committee, I began, Aurora Tech Ventures doesn't just offer logistics services enhanced by artificial intelligence. We provide AI-powered optimization that fundamentally transforms how complex supply chains operate. I launched into a live demonstration using the State Transportation Department's actual project data, which they had provided for evaluation purposes. My algorithms analyzed thousands of variables simultaneously: material delivery schedules, equipment availability, weather forecasts, traffic patterns, labor constraints, and budget limitations to generate optimized logistics plans that no human coordinator could achieve manually. This isn't theoretical technology, I explained, as the demonstration continued. Aurora Tech Ventures has implemented these AI systems for dozens of clients across multiple industries, consistently achieving cost reductions between 25 and 40% while improving operational efficiency and reliability. Sarah Kim presented technical specifications that proved our platform's superiority over conventional logistics software, while Marcus Williams outlined implementation timelines and support services that addressed every concern raised during previous presentations.
The committee's questions were increasingly detailed and technical, clearly indicating genuine interest in our capabilities rather than polite professional courtesy. Several members asked for clarification about scalability, integration requirements, and performance guarantees that suggested they were seriously considering Aurora Tech Ventures despite our company's relative youth. The final question came from the committee chairman, a veteran transportation official who had overseen state logistics operations for over 20 years. Ms. Richardson, your technology platform is impressive and your performance claims are substantial. However, Richardson Industries has decades of experience with large-scale government contracts. How can we trust such critical infrastructure projects to a company that's less than 3 years old? I had anticipated this concern and prepared for it carefully. Our youth is actually an advantage because Aurora Tech Ventures was designed specifically for modern logistics challenges rather than adapted from legacy systems. We don't carry operational baggage from outdated methods, and our entire platform was built using current technological standards. I pulled up performance data from our existing clients, showing consistent achievement of promised results across diverse industries and project scales. More importantly, our AI optimization platform provides performance guarantees that traditional logistics providers cannot match. If Aurora Tech Ventures fails to achieve projected cost savings and efficiency improvements, the state pays nothing for our technological enhancements. The guarantee was bold but strategically brilliant. Aurora Tech Ventures could offer risk-free innovation because my algorithms had never failed to exceed performance projections, while traditional logistics companies couldn't make similar promises about manual planning methods. After all presentations concluded, the evaluation committee deliberated for 3 hours, while competing companies waited in separate conference rooms. The tension was almost unbearable as we speculated about scoring criteria, committee preferences, and the relative strength of our technical demonstrations. At 4:17 p.m., the committee chairman announced their decision. After careful evaluation of all proposals, the Massachusetts State Transportation Department awards this contract to Aurora Tech Ventures based on their superior technological capabilities, competitive pricing, and innovative approach to complex logistics challenges. The room erupted in congratulations from committee members who seemed genuinely excited about implementing AI optimization for state infrastructure projects. Sarah Kim actually jumped out of her chair, while Marcus Williams started immediately discussing implementation timelines with state officials. I felt a profound sense of validation that transcended financial success or competitive victory. For the first time since leaving Richardson Industries, I had definitive proof that my technological vision was not just commercially viable, but superior to traditional business methods that my family had insisted were eternal truths. The contract signing ceremony took place 2 weeks later in the governor's office, with local media coverage that established Aurora Tech Ventures as a rising star in the Massachusetts technology sector. The Boston Globe featured a full-page article about AI innovation in traditional industries, with my photograph prominently displayed alongside quotes about entrepreneurial determination and technological disruption. But the real confrontation was still to come. 3 months after winning the state contract, Aurora Tech Ventures received a formal acquisition offer from Meridian Capital Partners, a private equity firm specializing in technology companies with proven commercial success. The offer valued my company at $120 million, with provisions that would make me personally wealthy beyond anything I had imagined possible. More intriguingly, the acquisition offer included a secondary proposal. Meridian Capital Partners wanted to use Aurora Tech Ventures as the anchor investment for a fund dedicated to acquiring and modernizing traditional logistics companies through AI integration. The fund would target family-owned businesses that needed technological upgrading but lacked internal capabilities to develop artificial intelligence platforms. Richardson Industries was specifically mentioned as a prime acquisition candidate. The irony was exquisite. Less than 3 years after my parents had forced me to abandon my technological dreams, I was being offered the opportunity to acquire their company and transform it using exactly the innovations they had rejected. I requested a meeting with Meridian's managing partners to discuss the acquisition proposal in detail. The fund structure they envisioned would position me as the technological leader responsible for modernizing acquired companies, while their financial resources would provide the capital needed for rapid industry consolidation. Richardson Industries represents exactly the kind of traditional logistics company that needs AI modernization, explained Robert Castellanos, Meridian's senior partner. They have excellent client relationships and operational infrastructure, but they're technologically obsolete. Combined with Aurora Tech Ventures platform, they could dominate the regional market. The financial analysis was compelling. Richardson Industries was struggling to compete against technologically advanced competitors, with profit margins declining as clients demanded capabilities they couldn't provide. Their traditional advantages were eroding rapidly as the logistics industry embraced artificial intelligence optimization. An acquisition by Meridian Capital Partners would provide the technological transformation that could save Richardson Industries while positioning Aurora Tech Ventures for massive expansion. But it would also place me in direct authority over the parents who had dismissed my capabilities and forced me to build my own company. I scheduled a meeting with my parents to discuss the acquisition proposal directly. We met at their Westchester County estate in the same office where they had originally delivered their ultimatum about abandoning Logiflow 6 years earlier. The meeting was surreal. My parents, who had once controlled every aspect of my career and financial future, now sat across from me as I outlined an offer that would determine the fate of their family business. Meridian Capital Partners has offered to acquire Richardson Industries for $20 million, I explained, watching their expressions carefully. The acquisition would include full technological modernization using Aurora Tech Ventures' AI platform, retention of existing management, and guaranteed employment for all current staff. My father's face revealed the devastating recognition that his company, built over 70 decades, was now worth less than 1/6 of the business I had created in 3 years using technology he had refused to consider. The alternative, I continued, is continued independent operation while competing against AI-optimized logistics providers who can deliver superior service at lower costs. Market analysis suggests that traditional logistics companies will lose approximately 60% of their client base within 5 years unless they embrace technological modernization. My mother spoke for the first time during our meeting. What would your role be in this acquisition? I would serve as Chief Technology Officer, responsible for integrating Aurora Tech Ventures' AI platform throughout Richardson Industries operations, I replied. Essentially, I would implement the technological transformation that I originally proposed 6 years ago.
The silence stretched uncomfortably as my parents processed the implications. Their stubborn resistance to innovation had created exactly the outcome they had tried to prevent: loss of family control over the business they had spent their lives building. "We need time to consider this proposal," my father said finally.
Of course, I replied, standing to leave. But I should mention that Meridian Capital Partners is also evaluating other acquisition targets in the regional logistics market. This opportunity won't remain available indefinitely. As I drove away from my childhood home, I reflected on the extraordinary reversal that 6 years of determination had achieved. The scared young woman who had been devastated by her parents' rejection had become the successful entrepreneur holding their future in her hands. 3 weeks later, Richardson Industries accepted Meridian Capital Partners' acquisition offer. 6 months after that, I stood in the same conference room where my father had once dismissed my Logiflow algorithms as worthless fantasies, now presenting the AI optimization platform that was transforming Richardson Industries into the most technologically advanced logistics company in New England. My parents attended the presentation as senior advisors, watching their daughter implement the innovations they had rejected while their company achieved performance levels that traditional methods could never have accomplished. Sometimes the best revenge is simply proving that you were right all along. And sometimes being right is worth $20 million. Looking for more? We've got 2 amazing stories ready for you right on screen. If this one touched you, these are absolutely worth your time. Click to watch them now. And hey, subscribe and hit that bell to never miss our latest uploads.